in the vast, deep forest of Hyrule. Long have I served as the guardian spirit. I am known as the Deku Tree. The children of the forest, the Kokiri, live here with me. Each Kokiri has his or her own guardian fairy. However, there is one boy who does not have a fairy. Navi, where art thou? Come hither. O Navi the fairy, listen to my words, the words of the Deku Tree. Dost thou sense it, the climate of evil descending upon this realm? Malevolent forces even now are mustering to attack our land of Hyrule. For so long the Kokiri Forest, the source of life, has stood as a barrier, deterring outsiders and maintaining the order of the world. But before this tremendous evil power, even my power is as nothing. It seems the time has come for the boy without a fairy to begin his journey, the youth whose destiny it is to lead Hyrule to the path of justice and truth. Navi, go now, find our young friend and guide him to me. I do not have much time left. Fly, Navi, fly! The fate of the forest, nay, the world depends upon thee. Don't fly much. But maybe that explains why, you can kill flies with fly swatters too. Hello, Bjorn, wake up. The great Deku Tree wants to talk to you. Bjorn, get up. Hey, come on. Can Hyrule's destiny really depend on such a lazy boy? You finally woke up. I'm Navi, the fairy. The great Deku Tree asked me to be your partner from now on. Nice to meet you. The great Deku Tree has summoned you, so let's get going right now. So here... Aw, yahoo! Hi, Bjorn. Wow, a fairy! Finally, a fairy came to you, Bjorn. Wow, that's great news. I'm so happy for you. Now you're a true Kokiri, Bjorn. Is that right? The great Deku Tree has summoned you? It's quite an honor to talk to the great Deku Tree. I'll wait for you here. Get going. Go see the great Deku Tree. Without doing speedrun strats, we can't get past him. You're not allowed to leave the forest. The great Deku Tree said that, there we go, if a Kokiri leaves the woods, he or she will die. OMG, did you see that pronoun use? Alright, so here is the path to the Deku Tree. Similarly, we can't get past, so we're presented with our first task quest, if you will. Hey, you, Mr. No Fairy, what's your business with the great Deku Tree? Without a fairy, you're not even a real man. What? You got a fairy? Say what? The great Deku Tree actually summoned you? What? Why would he summon you and not the great Mido? This isn't funny. I don't believe it. You aren't even fully equipped yet. How do you think you're going to help the great Deku Tree without both a sword and a shield ready? What? You're right, I don't have my equipment ready, but if you want to pass through here, you should at least equip a sword and shield. Sheesh. So it is cool. Ah yes, I'll show off the sign. Visit the house of the Know-It-All Brothers to get answers to your item-related questions. It's like, why place that sign in this location? Buy this treasure box that says contains the Kokiri sword. This is a hidden treasure of the Kokiri, but you can borrow it for a while. Be sure to practice with it before you really fight. So it's worth like 500 rupees. Super rare though. Alright, so fun fact. I'll just buy this. I won't equip it yet. What happens if you talk to Mido when you have both of the sword and shield but they're not equipped? Let's find out. Stay tuned on this week's episode of Programming Things for Science. Oops. He just totally skipped his whole dialogue. If you want to pass here, you should at least equip a sword and shield. Sheesh. Let's see his tantrum. If you want to see the great Deku Tree, you should at least equip a sword and shield. What's that? Oh, you have a Deku shield. And what's that? Is that the Kokiri sword? Good grief. Well, even with all that stuff, a wimp is still a wimp, huh? I, the great Mido, will never accept you as one of us. Shoot, how did you get to be the favorite of Saria and the great Deku Tree, huh? Grumble, grumble. So we still can't leave the Kokiri forest. We have to do... Oh yeah. Okay. Rant train. You see how I picked this item up, which is a Deku stick. Thankfully, you only ever have to see this one time, right? Every single item, you only have to do this, once. However, what was Nintendo smoking when they made Zelda Skyward Sword? Because every single time you load up the game, you have to watch these same dialogues. It's ridiculous. And as somebody who only plays 30 minutes, 40 minutes, hour at a time, basically that means that I had to watch all of those thousands of times, all of this, Skyward Sword items, thousands of times, and it's like, it can't go fast, it has to be like super slow text. Great Deku Tree, I'm back. O Navi, thou hast returned. Bjorn, welcome. Listen carefully to what I, the great Deku Tree, am about to tell thee. Why slumber these past slumber these past moons must have been restless and full of nightmares. As the servant of evil gains strength, a vile climate pervades the land and causes nightmares to those sensitive to it. Verily, thou hast felt it. Bjorn, the time has come to test thy courage. I have been cursed. I need you to break the curse with your wisdom and courage. Dost thou have courage enough to undertake this task? I'm just a kid. Perhaps you do not yet have confidence in your abilities. Return to the Kokiri Forest to learn the skills of combat. When thou art ready, return here and speak with me by using Z. So that's it. That's the end of the game, because we're never going to advance the story, because we're just this happy-go-lucky kid playing in the forest. Like, who cares if the world's going to end? We're just fine. So hope you all enjoyed me streaming Zelda Ocarina of Time. Next up might be probably something like Jet Force Gemini or Donkey Kong 64. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Great Games Before Your Time. Alright, totally obviously just joking there, but it's cool that you have to come down to about right here, I think. Yeah. It's cool there's even an option that says that, though. Then enter brave Bjorn, and thou too, Navi. Navi the fairy, thou must aid Bjorn, and Bjorn, when Navi speaks, use see up to listen well to her words of wisdom. Then pop in and then save and quit, and then we'll pick up from here inside the Deku Tree next time. So Zelda has made famous, and this Z targeting system has become synonymous with Zelda games. However, that is not the origin of the Z targeting system. That is actually credited to Rare. Pay attention here. Rareware was creating a game called Dinosaur Planet for the Nintendo 64, in which it was their idea, Nintendo liked it, and implemented it into their Zelda series games. And in fact, you might think, well, what Nintendo 64 game is called Dinosaur Planet? And the answer is there is none, because true to form, Rareware being severely delayed year after year, they took their time on things, they made sure it got done right. They were never able to like pump out games as fast as Nintendo, but at the same Uh-oh, how are we gonna get out? Alright, so here is the slingshot. The hook shot and other things I would go on C, right? So notice we have to learn how to use the item to escape from this room, although you don't have to. Alright, but to finish the thought on the Dinosaur Planet game, though, it is too bad when it was finally released as a completely different packaged game out there. It had the lock-on system that was not as good as the Zelda games have made it, which is too bad, because it was Rareware's idea at first. Alright, so Zelda 101. In every dungeon there is a map, and there's a compass. So now, here's something that I got stuck on for hours. Okay, so first things first. This is not exactly a puzzle, it's more of a little can you do it fast enough skill section. So here is the Deku stick, right? You can use it to beat things with. But how in the world do we get out of this room? Strong iron bars are blocking the door. You can't open them with your hands. So who would have thought that if I were to walk around with this stick in my hand and accidentally go through a loading zone of this flame, it actually catches the flame on fire, the stick on fire too. It's like, for an N64 game, that's pretty cool. Notice, alright, for some reason I thought there was like a little bit of a hint where it's like, oh wow, you can like see. Now remember at the very beginning, there was this spider web on the floor. And so here's another part, I think the third spot where I got really stuck. It's like, oh, logic. If you were to fall through a spider web from a really high distance, it would break the spider web, right? So that's another thing that I got stuck on for a very, very long time. In all fairness, the first time I played this game, I was very, very young. The incredibly useless items there, but... So yes, we can burn the spider web. Oops, and did you see my stick? The timer ran out, so it's no mas. '23 is number 1. All right. Puzzles. After you get into the water, if you hold down a... Oh yes, here's just a little... Yes. I thought this was something actually important. So I think actually too, she's like, oh look, there's a switch down there. Oh no, she shuts up. Woohoo. I thought there was one more thing that she doesn't shut up about in this game. Alright, this puzzle room right here. Very interesting in the Master's Quest. It's unlikely that I'll actually stream the Master's Quest, but it's like basically the exact same game, except a lot harder. And I'm not talking like, oh, like Kaizo hard, where it's like, oh, like let's do like, instead of 2 enemies, like 20 enemies. Nothing garbage like that. But like a lot of the puzzles were like completely redesigned, and so you have to know the in-game mechanics in order to do well in this game. So as you can see, sword items like this you hold with one hand, and when you shield you crouch like this, and Link's hitbox is actually quite high. However, if you swing a two-handed weapon like the Deku stick, we'll get a hammer later in life, if you block now you can't block because you're not holding your shield. So you kind of like do this a little bit, and you're like, your hitbox is considerably lower, and basically any hit that enemies inflict do damage you. So the Master's Quest exploits that knowledge. Like, you have to actually, can't quite remember the order, but it doesn't lower the water enough. You have to like be on here and then crouch so that you can pass under this. Like, so okay, with the Deku stick in hand, pull out the Deku stick, jump on that, and then crouch so that you're low enough to be able to get through as part of that puzzle. So kind of interesting, cool things like that. Notice too, like if you ever got turned around, like oh man, we have similar doors. Is this what I have to go in, or is this? Mental note: the player, like the old school player, would have made a quick mental note that when they came in this door, there was nothing, but then they saw this door and notice there's a grass patch on both sides. So that's the door that is advancing the way forward. But notice, check. Get both of these birds with one stone here. Walk over. We can then get back up to this area without having to go all the way back around. Okay, so now you might see, oops, we have another spider web that we can break that's on the floor, but we don't have a high place to jump off from it. And this is another puzzle that took me quite a long time to figure out, actually. If you are running and do a forward roll, like this, if you happen to be holding a stick, the stick flips around as well. So we use that kind of in-game mechanic. So the secret here is to light our Deku stick, and then get to this area and then do a forward roll. And then it will burn through the 3, 2, 1 area. Or wait, no, excuse me. We have to draw our sword to even deflect with the shield. So number 23 is number 1. Now, if this was order important and there are a total of 3 things, how did you know our secret? How irritating. It's so annoying that I'm going to reveal the secret of the Queen Goma to you. In order to administer the coup de grace to Queen Goma, strike with your sword while she's stunned. Oh, Queenie, sorry about that. Alright, so back to the math question. Let me guess, you were told there'd be no math. Well, you were told wrong. You were lied to. There's always math. This is a fairy? There's a fairy on one of these. If you have 3 Deku shrubs, and you can defeat them in any order, how many different ways can you defeat them? 3 items. By the way, the answer is 6. I love this. In this section right here, there's this weird, like, greenish blue lighting. So I always love to turn around at the camera and see Link in like this greenish blue hue. We can walk around this room forever, I think, and just hear stuff crawling on the rooftop, or the ceiling. But until we see up, look. I need to crank up my brightness somehow. This game is actually exceptionally dark. And then we look at the eye. That triggers the boss fight. Parasitic armored arachnid Goma. So this attack does like 2 or 3 times damage, so you can shorten the boss fights. I swear you can like stun this while he's laying eggs though. Oh, you can! So like do a few attacks like that and it shortens boss fights like crazy. Alright, so we're going to have to endure a fairly lengthy cinematic here. Back in the day where probably at least 90% of people who did things were honest about it. Like they weren't like the speedrunners of today who like Thou hast verily demonstrated thy courage. I knew that thou wouldst be able to carry out my wishes. Now I have yet more to tell ye, wouldst thou listen? Now we're just a kid. No, you must know my time is short. Now listen carefully. So basically, even if you say no, he still tells you the story. A wicked man of the desert cast this dreadful curse upon me. But I'm a carefree kid. I don't care the world's about to end. This evil man ceaselessly uses his vile sorcerous powers in his search for the sacred realm that is connected to Hyrule, for it is in that sacred realm that one will find the divine relic, the Triforce, which contains the essence of the gods. Before time began, before spirits and life existed, 3 golden goddesses descended upon the chaos that was Hyrule. Din, the goddess of power. Naru, the goddess of wisdom. Farore, the goddess of courage. Din. With her strong, flaming arms, she cultivated the land and created the red earth. Naru poured her wisdom onto the earth and gave the spirit of law to the world. Farore, with her rich soul, produced all life forms who would uphold the law. The 3 great goddesses, their labors completed, departed for the heavens, and golden sacred triangles remained at the point where the goddesses left the world. Since then, the sacred triangles have become the basis of our world's providence, and the resting place of the triangles has become the sacred realm. Thou must never allow the desert man in black armor to lay his hands on the sacred Triforce. Thou must never suffer that man with his evil heart to enter the sacred realm of legend. That evil man who cast the death curse upon me and sapped my power. Because of that curse, my end is nigh. Through your valiant efforts to break the curse though your valiant efforts to break the curse were successful, I was doomed before you started. Yes, I will pass away soon, but do not grieve for me. I have been able to tell you of these important matters. This is Hyrule's final hope. At least he wasn't sleeping, he was just laying down. Bjorn, go now to Hyrule Castle. Because it wasn't super long, boring story. There, thou wilt surely meet the Princess of Destiny. Take this stone with you, the stone that man wanted. That's the stone that man wanted so much that he cast the curse on me. So here, Zelda games are linear in the sense that Navi, if you wander around long enough, will tell you kind of where to go next. And so there's kind of an ordering. Up to this point, not using any cool speedrun skip strats, we have to get to this point before we can start sequence breaking. And honestly, there's a lot of cool sequence break stuff we could do with Ocarina of Time. You have got the Kokiri's Emerald. Okay, yeah. Read it by yourself. The future depends upon thee, Bjorn. Thou art courageous. Navi, the fairy, help Bjorn to carry out my will. I entreat ye. Navi, goodbye. Let's go to Hyrule Castle, Bjorn. Goodbye, great Deku Tree.